Humphrey, the privatization of sensory experience. Humphrey's theory of consciousness depends on a combination of his ideas about sensation with a phenomenon he calls the privatization of sensory experience. This can be described via a brief evolutionary tale. This starts with the capacity of unicellular organisms to respond to stimuli such as temperature, pressure, and chemical changes, which act directly on their membrane boundary. They also have the ability to evaluate these stimuli as toxic or beneficial. Unicellular organisms will then react with what Humphreys calls a wriggle of acceptance or rejection. This basic formula for sensation continued into the more primitive forms of multicellular organisms. But given the size of these creatures, this required a two-way traffic, with the stimulus traveling from the site of bodily stimulation all the way into the animal's nervous center, and then the wriggle reaction traveling all the way back again to the site of stimulation. In higher mammals, and especially humans, Humphrey suggests that this return journey of sensation may be short-circuited. Rather than returning to the site of stimulation, the wriggle of acceptance or rejection is instead diverted to the detailed map of the body located in the human brain. This short-circuiting results in the wriggle of response becoming a virtual wriggle, which will reverberate around and around these neural networks in the brain. Humphreys claims that this reverberation is the neurological basis of consciousness. Humphrey also has a very original theory as to the function of consciousness. Most people assume, he says, that the role of phenomenal consciousness must be to provide the subject with some kind of new mental skill, end quote. In other words, being conscious must help us to improve the performance of certain important tasks. Humphrey, however, rejects this conventional view, claiming that the role of consciousness, quote, is not to enable you to do something you couldn't do otherwise, but rather to encourage you to do something you would not do otherwise, to make you take an interest in things that otherwise would not interest you, to mind about things you would not otherwise mind about, or to set yourself goals you otherwise would not set, end quote. In other words, being conscious motivates us to want to go on living, which in a highly complex, sensitive, and intelligent creature may be a very necessary function. In fact, Humphrey suggests that the magical nature of conscious experience leads us to believe that we have immortal souls, which in turn provides us with an evolutionary advantage.